Hello Year 5, welcome to week 2. This week we're going to be following on with the same theme of the ocean that we started last week. Now thank you to everyone who submitted their artwork from last week. I would really like to see a few more people submitting their work. I'm not sure if some people maybe missed the fact that there was an assignment box in Canvas. So if you could go back through Canvas, have a look on the art page, and it will direct you straight to that submission box. And I want that artwork to be a priority. So if you haven't finished the Tempest artwork, perhaps don't start this one this week. But for those of you who have already done your Tempest artwork, this is going to be quite a short tutorial, but the artwork itself is going to take quite a while to finish. As you can see, there's a lot of detail in the ocean here, and it might be the kind of thing that you start today and maybe don't finish tonight or over a couple of nights when you're sitting in front of the TV, and you can just take your time to finish the artwork in lots of detail. All right, so what will you need for today? You will need some water and a paintbrush. You'll need your watercolor set. You'll need a lead pencil and an eraser, and you'll also need a Sharpie or an art liner. A texter works but won't work as well. So how about you pause the video and go and get those things for me. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is start to draw our horizontal lines, and we want them to have a different movement for each and every line. So first line, and my last line up the top. I'll just move this a little bit closer. We're going to do a set of waves. So maybe practice this on paper first. Okay, so once we've done our lines, it's time for us to add our watercolor. And we're going to be going from quite dark blue all the way up to a really light blue. So we're going to be using this section of our watercolors here, the black, the light blue, and the dark blue. And firstly, we're going to be introducing quite a bit of black into our darkest blue there. And once again, it's always a good idea when you're using watercolor just to get a scrap bit of paper and test the color that you're about to apply, just so you can make sure that you've got it right. I'm pretty happy with that color. Could probably do with a little bit more black actually now that I've put it on. So I can always go over it while it's still wet. Okay, so that's my darkest color. And then there's still a fair bit of black in my blue. So that'll probably be quite a good color for my next blue. Now feel free to pause this video at any moment so you can really do this properly. Don't feel like you have to keep up with me. I'm doing it quite fast and rough, but it's also the second time that I've done it. So you can really see the difference between the two colours. And then I should be up to just using pretty much that plain blue on its own. So this is the first time I haven't got any black at all in my paint. And now we're going to start to introduce a little bit of light blue, the light blue colour, into our dark blue. But we're still using mostly the dark blue. And just hold your palette up against your artwork and try to make a colour that you can physically see with your eyes, just a little bit lighter than the one you just used. I'm going to pause this video so that you're not watching me paint each and every tiny little part of this, just to make the video go a little bit faster. So I suggest you keep pausing your video as well. And then I'm going to be just using pretty much mostly the plain blue without any of the other blue. There might still be a little bit of leftover lying around, which is fine. Again, I'll just pause the video. That was quite a big jumping colour there. So if you feel like for you that was too much of a jumping colour and you're not going to leave yourself enough blue to play with, you can always get a wet brush with a little bit more of the darker blue on it and go over it. But I'm pretty happy with mine, and I know that I've only got the sky and one more colour of wave to go, so I think I've got enough to work with. So my white, I've hardly got any white left, and it's got quite a bit of black in it, so my white comes out a little bit grey, which is unfortunate, but you've got a nice fresh set of watercolours, so hopefully yours won't do what mine does. I'm going to be getting quite a bit of white there and then mixing it with my blue, and I just know that it's going to come out a little bit grey in colour. Well, it's not too bad. Remember just to test your colours on a separate piece of paper if you need to. Oops. Remember just to keep pausing the video. And then I've only got the sky left, and the sky is going to be quite light. So I'm going to completely clean my brush and only use what's left in my white, because there's a tiny little bit of blue left in there, and that will be enough. And I'm going to use quite a bit of water because I want my sky to be quite transparent. So I'm going to be using lots of water, and you can see there that my sky is a little bit grey, and that's because of the black that's left over in my palette. Okay, so once you're happy with your colours, remember you can always go over with other layers, but once you've got your different colours all done, you've got the base of your artwork painted, you're now ready to go over the outline of the waves in a black art liner. Definitely wait till it dries. Mine's probably still a little bit wet, so I'll probably ruin the Sharpie. You can feel even the Sharpie sort of sticking to the wet, so definitely wait till it's a little bit more dry. Now I could feel my Sharpie starting to get a little bit ruined with the water there, so I'll come back afterwards and touch up where it got a little bit lighter there later on. This next part is where it gets a little bit tricky. You can see that I've drawn in lots of lines that follow the shape, and what I recommend you do is draw one line at the top, one line at the bottom, so they slowly join, and you can see where it's thinner, the lines will also become thinner. So you've got to sort of spread them out a little bit and then bring them in closer at different points. So I'm going to draw in a couple of sets of lines so you can see here. I might not start at the bottom because it's so dark. I think you might find that harder to see. So I might do this one here because we've got a lot of thick and thin. I'm going to follow this line. And then I'm going to come up closer to this line because I know that I'm probably going to draw 2 more lines, and 2 more lines have to fit in between this section here. And then I can come out a little bit there. Now I'm going to draw another line from the bottom. So I did one from the top, and I'm going to draw one from the bottom. And then I'm going to draw one more line in the middle here. And I suggest you just take one section at a time. You might want to Google just doodling patterns or Celtic design or even Maori designs to try and get some inspiration for how you're going to fill your lines there. So for this one here, I'm going to start with a little loop. And then my little circular loops just get bigger in the sections where it's thicker and smaller in the sections where it's thinner. I'll just pause the video whilst I fill that in a little bit more. There we go. So you can see that I've finished that section there. And then I'm ready to choose another section and draw in a set of lines. Remember, one from the top, one from the bottom, so that they eventually meet almost to a straight line. Now that side there is quite thick, so you can see, I know it's going to come closer there, so I've narrowed the gap, whereas I can afford to go a little bit thicker over the side here. And then I can choose a different design. So I might just do a simple zigzag so I can get it done a little bit faster. Okay, once again, I'll just pause the video and come back to it when I've finished this section. There we go. So you can see that I've filled in that section. And if you wanted to add a little bit more detail, you could colour in all of the triangles. So colour one in, leave one, colour one in, leave one. Now I'm going to tackle the top here so that I can explain what to do with these waves. So with the waves, you want to get to a point where you don't want to come too high up into the waves. So if you start your line and just come up a little bit. I think I probably should have tried to squeeze in another line down below here, but I'll have to just leave it now. Once you add the designs in, if you do make a mistake like that or feel as though one of the pieces is too big, once you fill in the design, it really won't make much of a difference. Just doing patterns like that in this one. And I'll just pause the video again until I've finished. Okay, so you can see that I filled up the top there. And whilst I'm at the top, I might just draw in my little sailboat as well, but I'm going to do that in lead pencil so I can paint it first and let it dry before I add some black around the outside. Now you can see I did the boat straight there. On this one here, I chose to do it at the top of the wave, so you can position it any way that you like. And then just choose a contrasting colour. I chose pink last time. It doesn't have to be. I actually use both the pink and the red. And then the mask will throw a little bit of red, but I'm going to actually go back to that grey white colour. And so it's almost like a purple. Because usually the base of your boat is obviously not the same colour as your mask there, but we're not too worried about the detail. And then once that's dry, you'll be able to come back and add the black outline. So I might do one more section and then leave it, I think, because you can then see what the finished product is like. So have a Google if you've run out of ideas. Have a look at the original message, the original photo on Canvas, and yeah, I'm sure you'll come up with some fabulous little designs to fill in your wave. So this one here, I'm just going to do little circles with another circle around it. See that design there? So I'll fill that up, come back to you. I'm just going to pause the video. Make sure you keep on pausing. If your pen starts to feel like it's running out when it shouldn't be, just give it a scribble on a plain piece of paper, because it's probably just getting a little bit of that watercolor chalky texture on its nib. Okay, so I have finished that section there. Now that my boat is dry, I'm just going to go around the outline of my boat quite a little bit thinner than what I've done down here. I'm just drawing all those lines now. And I'm not sure how I'm going to fill those in yet. Like I said before, maybe just research Celtic design or Maori design, see what you can come up with, or even just doodling. I'm sure you can come up with some really interesting ways to fill your waves. Now I'm going to stop the video there because I've already got one that we can see is completed. I hope that you enjoyed this activity. If it's not the kind of artwork that I expect to be finished in one session, so by the end of the week is fine, or I might even give you next week to have both of those artworks finished. I think that might be fair, because if we were in a regular art class, I wouldn't expect this artwork to be finished in one lesson. So how about we take next week as well to have both the artworks handed in on Canvas. Okay, so enjoy the rest of your week, everyone. Thanks for joining me, and I will touch base next week just to remind you that you have 2 weeks to complete this one, or work on your Tempest artwork if you hadn't quite finished that one last week. Okay, bye.